Excuse the noises outside, it's just a truck. But anyways, after a full week, I'm finally doing my Read-Aloud Underpants Book 8. Underpants, the preposterous, Played the Purple Party People, the 8th epic novel by Dave Pilkey. Hi everybody, as you can see, we're experiencing some technical difficulties. This comic book should get you up to date on our story so far. The often told, untold story of Underpants and your heritage. Once upon a time, two kids named George and Hale. We're super awesome, me too. But they didn't be until we Mr. Crump, who was me. I'm all that stuff! So George and Hale hypnotized with 30 hypnotic. You'll be our every command. Then they accidentally made him think he was a superhero. You're Captain Underpants. Look at me, I'm Captain Underpants! But he escaped and ran after five crimes. Oh, no! Rats! George and Hale ran after him. Hey, come back here! No way! Then one day he drank some superpowers. Now he has superpowers and stuff. Look at me, I have superpowers and stuff. Oh, man. But if you think if that's bad, it gets worse. Pay attention because this next part is important. The worst part is that whenever Mr. Crump hears somebody snap their fingers, snap, he turns into Captain Underpants. Oh, and whenever somebody snaps one on his head, he turns it back into Mr. Crump. Blah, blah, blah. In their last adventure, George and Hale got two new pets, a bionic hamster named Sulu, cool, and a pterodactyl named Crackers. Awesome! Everything was cool until this brainiac named Melvin showed up. I'm telling! Melvin made a time machine out of a purple potty. It looked like this. Anyway, George and Hale wanted to use the time machine, but Melvin had one rule. Don't use the time machine 2 days in a row. Okay? If you use it 2 days in a row, something very bad will happen. Okay? I mean it. Don't use the 2 days in a row. Okay? Seriously, don't use it 2 days in a row. Okay! Then, hey, let's use this thing 2 days in a row. Okay. And so, George, Hale, Crackers, and Sulu used the time machine 2 days in a row, and something very bad happened. What will happen next? Chapter 1, George Hale. George B. Heritage. George's skeleton on the right with the time to fly down. Harold is the one of the... I'm sorry, hold on. 1 second. This is George B. Heritage. George is the skeleton on the right with the time to fly top. Harold is the one on the left with the t-shirt and the bad haircut. Remember that now. It's usually George on the left and Harold on the right, but I did think they mix it up sometimes. But anyway, as you might remember from our last adventure, George and Hale had recently made the horrifying mistake of trying to pass through a synthetic time warp without letting the C2X906 Super BIM Flimanatrix drive with their Beeble Flux capacitating Zosivire cooldown, thus creating a sub-paradoxical dimensionalistic alternate shift, which opened up a hyper-Google-phonic screen door into a sub-omnivating ultra-zenticular bio-nanzonoflanamarzipan. God, those are complex words. Anyway, to put it in scientific terms, they screwed up. But don't get all freaked out because everybody looks like a skeleton. X-ray beams are a normal byproduct of interdimensional reality shifting. Don't worry, it'll probably clear up by the time you turn the page, like right now. See, what did I tell you? Yeah, the book explains that they hadn't really had their skins teared off. It was just a little bit of X-ray vision. Anyway, George, Hale, and their loyal pets suddenly found themselves wishing they had never set foot inside the petrifying purple potty that was about to send them all into a journey into the horrifying abyss of the unknown. A journey that would probably spell impending doom for themselves, and would most likely bring about the end of our civilization as we know. Before I can tell you that story, I have to tell you this story. Chapter 2, Those Wacky Grown-Ups. It's been said that adults spend the first 2 years of their children's lives trying to make them walk and talk, and the next 16 years trying to get them to sit down and shut up. It's the same way with potty training. Most adults spend the first few years of a child's life cheerfully discussing pee and poopies and how important it is to learn how to put your pee and poo-poo in the potty like big people do. But once children have mastered the art of toilet training, they're immediately forbidden to ever talk about poo, pee, toilets, or other bathroom-related subjects again. Such things are suddenly considered rude and vulgar and are no longer rewarded with praise and cookies and juice boxes. One day you're a superstar because you pooped in the toilet like a big boy, and the next day you're sitting in the principal's office because you said the word poopy in American history class, which if you ask me is the perfect place to say that word. You're probably wondering, why would adults do that? Why would they encourage something one day and discourage it the next? The only answer is that adults are totally bonkers and should probably be avoided of all times. Yeah, the book just said that parents are stupid. Also, another way you can think about it is, just think about it for a minute. A century ago, people would be telling their children to stop reading stupid books and instead go outside and play. Now, parents are probably telling their children to stop playing video games and play on the computer, watching YouTube all day, and go read a book. Like I'm doing right now. Think about it. And probably a century from now, parents are probably going to be saying, stop doing whatever the new thing is. Go play on the computer. Think about that. Okay. Moving on. Perhaps you'll be lucky to find a small handful of grown-ups whom you can trust, but I'm sure we can all agree that you really have to keep an eye on most adults most of the time. Which is just what George and Harold did. Chapter 3, The School of Hard Knocks. Unfortunately, the adults at George and Harold's school were anything but trustworthy. Take the principal, Mr. Crump, for example. Mr. Crump's wicked heart thrived on the teardrops of children. His very soul danced at the thought of crushing a child's spirit and dashing his or her hopes and dreams against the jagged rocks of never-ending despair. Each day, Mr. Crump would stand at the doorway to his office, gleefully handing out detention slips to any child who was unfortunate enough to cross his putrid path, and for very minor infractions too, like smiling, breathing without permission, or smelling funny. As bad as Mr. Crump was, most of the teachers in George and Harold's school were even worse. And apparently, I've heard that apparently part of the reason why Dampier made the school so incredibly cruel is to teach kids like, hey, your school isn't probably that bad, and once you see how this school acts. Fortunately for George and Harold, their evil educators were now very intelligent. They could be outsmarted easily, and they often were. Now, you might think that it wasn't very sporting of George and Harold trying to outsmart dumb people, and perhaps you'd be right, but George and Harold were just trying to make the best of a bad situation. But unfortunately for George and Harold, their bad situation was about to get much, much worse. Chapter 4, Purple Pottyville. After several intense minutes of orange flashing lights, x-ray beams, and lightning-infused electric whirlwinds, the Purple Potty finally stopped shaking and sputtering, and it came to a sudden halt. Thick yellow smoke poured from its glowing hot tailpipes as the grinding gears and coughing motors shifted into power-down mode. George and Harold had no idea what to expect. They were supposed to be perched high up in a prehistoric tree 65 million years ago in the Cretaceous period of the Mesozoic era. But as they stepped out the plastic door of the Purple Potty, the boys were disheartened to find themselves in the middle of the school library, right where they had started. "What are we doing here?" asked Harold. "I don't know," said George. "Something must have gone wrong." Harold carefully tucked crackers back into his book bag, and the two boys looked around the brightly lit library. "Well, hello, boys," said the school librarian. "This is Buy Books Week. Would you like to expand your minds today?" No thanks," said George. "Hey," said Harold, "did you get fired in the last book?" "I don't think so," said the librarian. Said George. "I'm not feeling very good about this." "I'm not feeling good," asked Melvin Neely, who was struggling to comprehend the easy-to-read children's bestseller, Frankenfart vs. the Bionic Barf Bunnies for Diarrhea Land. "Maybe you should go see the school nurse." "We have a school nurse?" asked George. "What? I thought we just had a box of panties and a rusty saw," said Harold. "Don't go see our school nurse," said Melvin. "His office is right next to a five-star gourmet cafeteria." George and Harold looked confused. Thanks," said George. "But we'll be back." Chapter 5, Strangers in Paradise Lost. As George and Harold walked down the hallway to school, they noticed that something seemed wrong. Very wrong, but they couldn't figure out what it was. Miss Anthrop, the unbelievably crabby school secretary, passed by the boys and smiled kindly. "Why, hello, George and Harold," she said. "It's so good to see you, too. Have a wonderful day." And George and Harold looked suspiciously. What just happened?" asked Harold. "I don't know," said George, "but something strange sure is going on." George and Harold opened their locker and carefully poked crackers and Sulu aside. "Shh, they're asleep," said George. "Good," said Harold. "They can take a nap while we get to class." On the way to their homeroom, George and Harold stopped to switch the letters around on the lunch menu sign. But just as they were finishing, their principal, Mr. Crump, caught them red-handed. "Hey, Bubs," he said, "what are you kids doing out here?" George stammered. "You see, we were, please eat my plump, juicy butchers?" asked Mr. Crump, giggling with glee. "That's gonna be the best thing I've seen all day. You boys are gonna cut me up. You're hilarious." Then, with a spring in his step, Mr. Crump pranced away, whistling a merry tune. What just happened?" asked George. "Shh, Mr. George, look!" George pointing at two kids who were coming toward them, reading a homemade comic book. The kid on the left had a t-shirt and a flat top, and the one on the right had a tie and a bad haircut. Please feel free to remember that now if you wish. It's us!" whispered George. "How could it be us?" whispered Harold. "I thought we were us." George and Harold hid behind the trash can as their two alike walked toward them. They stopped in front of the lunch menu sign and frowned. Then a devilish look came over their faces and quickly began rearranging the letters to Anarchy Rules. The strange boys snickered wickedly as they sneaked away from their prank. What just happened?" asked Harold. "I think I figured it out," said George. Chapter 6, The World According to George. "I think the Purple Potty brought us to some kind of strange backwards universe," said George. "No way," said Harold. "That kind of thing only happens in poorly written children's stories whose authors have clearly begun running out of ideas. Here, I'll prove it," said George. The two friends walked to the cafeteria and took a whiff. "That's weird," said Harold. "It doesn't smell like dirty diapers, greasy dishwater, and moldy tennis shoes in here anymore. It smells like food." "Yup," said George. Next, the boys went to the gymnasium. That's weird, said Harold. Our gym teacher isn't fat anymore. It is not incredibly cruel to non-athletic kids like he usually is. Yep, said George. What would you look at that? Mr. Meter, the gym teacher, he's actually living up to the name by looking swollen stuff. Anyway, finally, Georgia Hill stepped outside. That's weird, said Harold. All of our evilest and most terrifying enemies from the past have been miraculously transformed into good guys. Yep, George. What I quite understand is why did Professor Poopy Pants team up with Zorks, Clax, and Jennifer? And why did Carl abandon his two other buddies over there? Whatever. Chapter 7, Getting Out of Town. George and Harold ran back to their locker. Let's crack crackers and cereal and get out of this place, said George. Good idea, said Harold. But when they opened the locker door, their two friends were missing. What the heck are crackers and cereal? Cried George. I don't know, said Harold. Nobody else has the combination to our locker. Nobody else except our twins, gasped George. Harold tried to shut their locker, but the door jammed on something. What's that? Asked George. Looks like a comic book, said Harold. He held it up and read the comic book out loud. At that moment, George and Harold began to get a dreadful sense of the horror they were up against. Chapter 8, The Preposterous Plot of Captain Blunderpants. The Preposterous Plot of Captain Blunderpants by Harold Hodgson and George Beard. Once upon a time, there lived two evil children named George and Hill. I'm bad as well. They had a very nice principal who went by the name of Mr. Crump. Hello, boys, have a pleasant day. Whatever. One day, George and Hill hypnotized Mr. Crump. You'll obey us. Yes, sir. They made him think he was the evil villain. You're not Captain Blunderpants. All right. George and Hill made Captain Underpants do all sorts of evil things. Steal us a video game system. Okay. And Captain Underpants obeyed. Crash. Steal us a big screen television. Okay. Crash. I'm so happy I could cry. Me too. Uh-oh. Crash. Here comes the tissues. Soon, George and Hill had the world's coolest treehouse. Do you boys need anything else? Yeah, how about a pizza? Sure thing. And so, crash. Hold on right there, Captain Blunderpants. You stole TVs, jacuzzis, pop machines, massage chairs, and disco balls, but this time you've gone too far. You have to rest for Grand Theft Pizza. You gotta catch me first. Zip. And the chase was on. Soon Captain B was chased onto the freeway. When suddenly, oh no! Hey, look! Oh, crash! The strange mixture of chocolate, peanut butter, and extra cheese combined to create a super powerful chemical reaction, which gave Captain Blunderpants amazing powers. I feel super. I feel super non-control. And then here's your pizza, boys. And where's the pineapple? Crash! Wow, just thinking of all the evil things we can do now. With Counterpants as our evil, superpowered villain, we'll be able to get away with anything. So the entire world will be ours. Epilogue. Oh, by the way, whenever Counterpants hears someone snap his fingers, snap, he turns back into Mr. Crump. I was full day. And whenever Mr. Crump gets water on his head, he turns back into Counter Blunderpants. Remember that now.